everyone. Welcome to the Restaurant Roadmap Snapshot. Today's subject, labor retention and how important that is. I have with me Chef Eric Lauer, who you guys have probably met before if you've listened to any of these. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing great, Danny. How about you?
I'm doing great, doing great. So, labor is the big topic these days, retention. We have a new generation. What are they looking for? What do we do to retain them, find them, right? Um, so I just wanted to kick this off and then ask Eric, do you want to share an anecdote about a restaurant somewhere you've worked, a client we've had where they have a thriving crew as opposed to challenges? So any experiences you'd like to share?
Sure. I'll go back to when I was in operations. I was running a restaurant. It was a corporate chain restaurant. And it just, the vibe of the restaurant just felt so good. Everybody loved coming to work. Everybody made good money. The guests were phenomenal. And the guests were phenomenal because the team took care of them. So I think when you look back at it, there's a lot of steps and pieces to get to those points. But it is achievable and it is fun, and we all know when it's rocking and rolling and on the rails, it's a great time.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, my first one of my first jobs as a chef many years ago, you know, I found that teaching and getting people engaged and asking for their opinions was really a good way to kind of bring the team together. They felt like they were part of something. They felt like they owned something. And two or three of the guys that worked for me ended up going to culinary school. As a result of I think the environment and the culture that we created, and they saw a path. And I really enjoyed teaching them, how to be a better cook or how to learn basic principles. And they stayed with me for a while, but wherever they went, they kept that knowledge and they kind of moved on with it, right? Uh,
Right.
so in your experience, you've probably done some research. When you look at the cost of turnover, from a dollar standpoint, but also talk to, what's the impact on your operation, your culture, your brand, and your team experience?
So the National Restaurant Association puts the actual dollar count at $5,864 on one employee turnover. So that is retention, recruiting, training, replacement. But it goes even further than that when you look at it, right? So say you have a server who quits and they work Tuesday with Johnny. Now Johnny is working Tuesday with someone he barely knows. Now the flow of the restaurant gets messed up. The guest experience is negatively impacted.
Right.
It impacts the kitchen because now new server is going to be ringing up things incorrectly. We all know it happens. It's no matter what. You could have perfect training, it's still going to happen. And then now Johnny, the server's experience is negatively impacted. The
Right.
cook line negatively impacted. The guests are negatively impacted because the new server doesn't know everything that happens. So they may not come back, right? So
Yeah.
your direct costs are 58.64, whatever I said, and then your
Right.
indirect costs are somewhere in, tens of thousands of dollars because
Yeah.
guests don't return, you lost revenue. Your other team members now they're like, I don't want to go to work Tuesday morning anymore with
Right.
this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. So it's
Right.
just snowball going downhill.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not just the cost, it's the impact. It really is intangible. You can't measure it, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and, I found, and if you want to comment also quickly, it's always not about the pay. I think people today want to feel like they're a part of something, they're engaged, they want to know what's going on, and, they want to know what they're accountable for, which I think is also very important, which, gets to a whole idea of great training. And I think one of these days we should do a podcast on how to hire and how to train people. I think we should put that on our list of things to talk about. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so I mean, it's always not about the pay; it's the environment, right?
So you're absolutely right. It's not always about the pay. The pay, I would say the pay is a vast majority of what it is, 80, 90%.
Right,
But today's day and age, you can make pretty similar amounts in a lot of restaurants that you work in. So the intangibles that you talked about, the environment, your team
right,
members that you're working with, all
right,
of those things add up. Does my manager treat me right? Does my manager schedule me to my availability and to what I need? All of those things add in, right? And think about servers, right? In a lot of areas, they don't make a great hourly wage, So
Right.
it's dependent upon those tips. So if you
Yeah.
need 2 servers and you schedule 4 and they're only making half the amount that they should be making,
Yeah.
that's not a great job for them. They're not gonna stick around. So
Right.
you like I said earlier, a lot of things go into it, scheduling, team
Right.
members, all of those things. So that's another aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here too is make it fun. And we used to have a lot of fun when we worked. We used to joke around. We used to get a shipment of lobsters every Friday for the weekend from from in Missouri, from Maine, and we used to have a big welcoming party for the lobsters. We used to do lobster races, and it was pretty cool. And everybody looked forward to the lobsters showing up, which sounds really stupid. It actually was a lot. Yeah, we kept it fun. We kept it lively. We kept it entertaining. And it was a
That's
great
one of those
stress
culture
release.
issues we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
Culture is
yeah,
everything, and I'm sure it started as something silly, but then it grew into something that the entire staff
yeah,
loved. And
yeah.
when I
Everybody.
think back to the story I was talking about at that chain restaurant I worked at, that's what
Hmm.
it was. It was nothing spectacular, but we had fun with each other on
Right.
shift.
Yeah.
And when you wake up and you know you're going to have fun at work, it makes it
Right.
a lot easier to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you want to come there. Because it's a big part of your day, right? So anyway,
Absolutely.
some final takeaways before we go. Actionable items, things you can do, recognition, stuff like that. What do you think?
I think, meeting your team members where they are, scheduling them correctly, allowing them to make the most money for their time that they're at work. And then, take those intangibles, the times that they want to work with one of their peers that they enjoy working with, set it up if it's easy to do. Those types of things are the things that this new next generation is really looking for. Recognition, that's always a great thing, but nobody cares about getting a pizza on a Friday afternoon if
Right.
they're only making $30 when they should
Right.
have been making 130.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think great communication, keeping people engaged, recognition is positive. Hey, great job. Hey, we had a lot of fun today. Let's keep it up. So, yeah, I think all of those things. It's critical to keep your good employees, and I think also your great employees will help kind of weed out the ones that aren't doing so well, or they'll train them up, or those people just won't feel comfortable and they'll go somewhere else where they will be more comfortable, but you'll get a better crew because of it. So, Eric, thank you for your time today. This has been really interesting, very exciting.
Thank you, Danny.
All right. Hey, you guys, anybody listening, send us ideas. You can email us at info@therestaurantroadmap.com. Send us your comments, questions, feedback. If you have questions, we're going to do a podcast here coming up in the next month or two. If your question gets on the air, we're going to give you a free 30-minute consultation. So send those questions in. All right. Thank you again, Eric. Everybody have a great day and have fun. Take care.